button. Welcome to Power of Words. Let's talk Power of Words on June 14th, 2016. I am welcoming our presenters, Doug Lipman, Rebecca Holm, Rachel Holm, Katey Branch, Marguerite Walker, and then we have some wonderful listeners on the call. Also, I want to introduce Emily Baum. Am I saying your last name right, Emily?
Yes, you've got it right.
Our new Transformative Language Arts Network Executive Director. No, not Executive Director.
Close. No, I'm the council chair. So Terry is our wonderful, executive director, and I am going to be stepping into the role of council chair. So I will be seeing you all at the conference, and I'm excited to meet you.
And those of us who are on the council are incredibly grateful for Emily stepping in and taking over for Khaled, who is going to be our keynote speaker at the conference, one of our keynotes, and we're all really excited. So thanks all for the call tonight, Emily, and coming here.
I'm super excited too. Yeah, thank you.
Good. All right. Did anyone new join the call whom I've missed? Welcome. Christopher, are you here? Okay, he's not. Perhaps he will join us. Okay, so let's just go around quickly. I'd love to have just this first round, those of you who are on audio and on visual as well. And it would be wonderful for our audio listeners if those of us who can see each other just try to remember to mention our names when we speak, because they can't see us, they're not going to know who it is. So this is Kelly DuMar, and I'd love to go around starting with you, Rebecca. If you just say your name and where are you calling in from tonight? It's always fascinating to me to hear the great distances that people are calling from and how we're connecting from afar. Are you on, Rebecca? You're muted still. You there? Rebecca? Okay, we're going to jump over Rebecca. Doug, welcome.
Hi. I'm calling from Marshfield, Massachusetts, 30 miles south of Boston.
Welcome. Not too far from where I am, Kelly DuMar. I am in Sherburne, Mass, which is about 35 minutes west of Boston. I'm north of where Doug is. And Rachel, where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Amsterdam in the Netherlands.
That's so cool.
That's about 9 hours away as the airplane flies from the West Coast. Don't ask me to do any more math on that. And for our audio listeners, I think they might like to know, you and I both have paintings behind us, and Doug looks like he's sitting in an archive room.
This is my Georgia O'Keeffe, the road past the view. What is your painting behind you?
This is an original Barbara Packard, actually. She's a friend of ours.
Oh, wonderful.
Thanks.
And there you are, Katey, with a nice vase of flowers behind you. Where are you calling from, Katey?
I'm calling from South Paris, Maine, sitting in my massage studio and looking out over my garden.
Oh, lovely. Welcome. And how about you, Marguerite?
I'm living in South Portland, Maine, and I'm overlooking a community lawn I share with about 60 other people.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. So you're not too far away from where I am. And I know we have Joe. You're on the phone, right? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Manor Park, New York, which is on the eastern end of Long Island.
Wonderful. Welcome. And we have Susan as well, correct?
Correct. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sitting in here in my bedroom, so I can describe it. I'm sitting out here looking outside the window at the Bell River. We live in Florida on the river, and I couldn't figure out exactly how to do my iPad with the call yet, because I didn't really want to be at my desk. So glad to meet everybody. I'm in Florida.
Okay, great. Great to hear from you, Susan. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Emily, you're here calling in from where?
I live in Atlanta, Georgia, where it's very hot and sultry right now. I am cooking some dinner, and I'm looking out the kitchen window at my container garden, which is being quite fruitful. So
Wonderful. Wonderful. Are you cooking something from your garden?
You know, I am. I'm using I had a couple of early peppers that came on, so I'm using them in a stir fry.
Wonderful. Great.
Yeah.
Now, Rebecca, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Where are you calling in from?
This is Olympia, Washington, over on the West Coast.
Wow. Isn't that fascinating? Wow, we're really spread out. So cool.
And I'm watching rain and sun all day long today. So it's been a big weather day here.
Very nice. And I think I've got everybody. Is there anybody I haven't gotten to? Okay, great. All right. Well, we don't have any particular order that we're going to go in for tonight. We can, I'll take volunteers for whoever would like to go first. And I kind of have, I thought what I might do is I've got a list of questions that I can ask you about your workshop and presentation, but I want you to feel comfortable just sharing anything that you feel that I'm not asking that you think is important to share. So I didn't ask anyone to prepare any kind of a talk or anything. So oh, we've got a new listener, Yoli. Have I got that right? Welcome. Hello? Okay, well, perhaps if Yoli is here, we will, maybe she or he is muted. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yoli? Okay.
Yes, hello.
Hi, it's Kelly DuMar. How are you?
Okay, hi.
Am I getting your name right?
Yoli, yes, that's right.
Wonderful. So glad you joined us. Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Keene, New Hampshire.
Oh, I love Keene, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome. We are calling in. We've got people here from that you can't see, but I can see most of us. And I just want to let you know we've got Amsterdam, we've got Washington State, we've got Maine, New York, Massachusetts, Georgia, and I don't know what else oh, no, I think I'm covering most of it. So it's really nice to have you with us. We were just getting...
I'm happy to be here. I just wanted to say I may need to step away at some point, but I'll come back.
Okay, and also, Yoli, you're welcome to share in our poetry open mic. When we get to that, we'd love to hear from you if you have a poem that you have brought that you'd like to share. So, okay. Would Doug or Rebecca, Rachel, Katey, Marguerite, who would like to go first? It's wide open.
I'll go. Marguerite, I'll go.
Excellent. So Marguerite, what I thought would be great is if you would, this is Kelly again, introducing Marguerite Walker. If you'd say, what's the title of your workshop? When is your presentation? Have you presented it at T-Land before? Is this your first time? And then what would you like us to know about it? And something like, you know, who do you think would be interested in participating? What's the format? And that kind of thing.
Okay, sure. I'm doing a workshop entitled Self-Expression Through Movement and Play, and I have not presented this workshop before. I'm a novice at this whole thing, and it's part of my self-growth program, doing things that I've been wanting to do and haven't. And I want to thank Deb Hensley for encouraging me to even look into this venture. So I'm going to be presenting, I think it's a Sunday afternoon. I think it's near the end, between 3 and 4, I believe, of the conference. And I encourage anyone who likes to play, who likes to be given something that might, like a child, like you just give something to a child, a ball, a scarf, and give them something to play with, and they invent a game. They invent something to do with it. I'm going to have people warm up initially, greet each other, just walk around the room, feel comfortable with each other, make sounds that are comfortable, imitating animals or trains or something that kids just normally do, but I'll be there to encourage people to do that.
Grown-up kids.
Yeah, grown-up kids, yeah. Because I think, and I know this, we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. And that's what I live by. And I've often found that play and humor and lightness of spirit help people de-stress. If there's a stressful situation, if we can learn as adults to be a little bit more lighthearted about it, the situation, sometimes that helps. I've been a nurse for 35 years, and I've found that play and humor are great antidotes for the stressful situations we find ourselves in as adults.
Wonderful, wonderful. So it sounds very improvisational. It sounds like you come in with this spirit of, I'm going to try something. I'm going to give myself permission to enter this really playful dimension and use my imagination. And it sounds like you're going to be giving participants a lot of permission.
Yes, permission to be kids, permissions to be silly. I'm going to have props. I'm going to have things. I'm going to have suggestions. I will act out something. I'll have a scenario, and I'm going to encourage people to have their own scenarios. Think of something perhaps that has embarrassed them in the past, either as a child or an adult, and act it out either by themselves or with another participant.
So, what do you hope, Marguerite, people will take away from your workshop? So what are the participants, if you could give them something that you would hope they would take away from this experience in your workshop, what would it be?
A greater openness to take chances and to see the lightness in situations, and giving giving ourselves as adults permission to play and to take time every day if we allow ourselves to have time to be a kid, to get on the floor and play with a dog, to go out and lay in the grass and look at the bugs, doing something that that is just pure joy and pure childlike wonder.
To make play this really conscious intention.
Yes.
And incorporate it into the daily experience. So
yes.
I think you answered this question a little bit as in your opening, but I'll go ahead and ask it again.
Sure.
Your takeaway. What would you hope is your ideal takeaway from presenting it?
That I'm able to communicate my joy of play and of lightheartedness in just everyday life, and sharing that with other people so that perhaps they could share that with people they care about, and perhaps just being open to situations in their lives where they might otherwise take it really seriously and look at the opportunity to make it more playful.
Beautiful, wonderful. So I'm going to give anybody a chance to maybe just give you a comment.
Okay, sure.
Or ask you a question, Marguerite. How does that sound?
Sounds great. Go ahead.
Would anybody like to just give Margaret a comment about how you think her workshop sounds, what your own response might be, and or if you have a question.
Can I say something? This is Susan.
Sure.
Okay, I just wanted to say, what I'm new to to this, and I was just wondering. It sounds really interesting. Sounds really good. To be able to just. I think I agree with you that it's just a thing that we all need to do is to find space in our life to do that. But I just was wondering how. It sounds really interesting, but how does it work with the conference? I mean, do you have to just sign up for that specially, or once you get there, you're giving that workshop? I thought that you kind of had it was a kind of a you sign up for the whole conference and then you can go to whatever workshops you want.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is Kelly here answering. I think I understand your question, Susan, is that yes, you register for the conference. And just Deb's not here, right? Okay, so anybody correct me. My memory of it is, Doug, you were there. You've been there the last couple of years too. Or Emily, anybody who wants to correct me. My sense, Susan, is that you show up for the workshops that you want to attend. You may or may not have I don't think you're locked into attending anything. You may suggest a preference on the initial registration form for where you might go, but I don't think you're locked into going to that one. So you are going to have to, there will be some forced choices because there are a few different workshops running concurrently. So can somebody remind me, does anybody know the answer to this?
Yeah, this is Emily. Kelly, I think you're exactly right. You register for the conference as a whole, and then when you arrive, you have the schedule that will show you, okay, during each one of these time slots, there may be 4 different workshops available. So you have to choose for yourself which one you want to go to, but you kind of get to plan your own, choose your own adventure. So.
Great. So thank you for Kelly. I mean, there may be a better venue for me to ask that question. It's a big question because I'm really kind of not sure what to do. But great, it sounds really good. Thank you.
Susan, I'm afraid that one thing I guarantee you with this conference is that you're not going to be able to attend all the wonderful workshops that you're going to want to attend, and you will have some forced choices. But in my experience, it's really great to know really, I mean, like I already know Marguerite's workshop sounds like a real winner that I would love to just go in and have that opportunity to play. So,
exactly.
And on Sunday, it sounds like it's the perfect day to sort of like.
Yeah. Yes, I hope so. Yeah.
To do that. So, well, thank you so much for starting us off, Marguerite. Any other questions or comments for Marguerite?
Sounds like fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hope to go to yours too, Katey.
Which one of our presenters might like to go next?
I'm not getting any eye contact from Rebecca Hom, but it's because I have to scroll through all the little. Oh, we get a hand signal. We have to tag team it because there's 2 of us.
Let me introduce.
And I can't do emoticons on here, so.
Let me introduce Rachel Holm and Rebecca Holm. They are going to give their presentation talk next. You're on, Rachel.
Thank you, Kelly. My name is Rachel. Right now I'm in Amsterdam. I guess my hometown is Olympia, Washington, where my mom is calling in from and also lives. And we have a project called 2662. It could also be called like Amsterdam Olympia, what it is now, but also now I'm 27, but that was the name of our show. And the idea was about comparing, contrasting, and getting new insights out of 2 perspectives from 2 people from 2 different generations, yes, a mother and a daughter. And this was a performance that we did last summer. We went did about 12 shows. I was going to say across the country, but we had a pretty good distribution of places, and we ended up at Power of Words in the summer and really enjoyed the conference. And we actually got a lot of interesting feedback from the conference, from the other people who were there, and got a lot of ideas when we were there that it came to us. Maybe we should apply to take a second step with the project during this summer's conference at Power of Words. So that's what we'll be doing. Last summer, it was about exploring this performance for us, what we had, and how we were using dialogue. Ma, you can jump in here anytime.
You're doing great.
Don't want to hog it. It is almost 2:30 in the morning where I'm speaking, so if I'm start to get off track, just come in here. So our first go of the project was more focused on the performance and getting feedback from the audience. And this time, what we'd like to be doing is acting on that feedback and highlighting one of the main benefits that people got out of seeing the show, which is having sort of a shaken up perspective, which we're calling a beginner mind.
And a shaken up perspective and a beginner mind about what, Rachel?
During the show, we talk about things that are important to us, but not necessarily academic topics or something that you need a lot of experience besides life experience to talk about. So the kind of beginner mind we want to open up for people is just your everyday perspective. So being able to look at your life and your relationships in a new way.
Do you bring in, is it focused on this aspect of difference in age in your relationship, or mothers and daughters, or just relationships?
And I think when we presented this in the past or over the summer, we started to find that it wasn't just age related, it wasn't just relationship related, but it was the idea of people who have maybe contrasting perspectives or contrasting opinions, and becoming a vehicle where people can come from two different directions and listen, actively listen to one another, to hear the other person's point of view, not to reply to it, not to think about what do they think, but just to hear that other person's viewpoint. And so we're seeing like how that might extend to other situations, other groups. And personally right now, with a heavy heart, you know, I think we are in turmoil, and definitely we need that, the power of words, to be able to listen to each other without animosity or aggression, and just be able to hear it and say, I don't think like you think, but that's very interesting.
And this is part of what you, this kind of dialogue is part of what you demonstrate in the performance? So can I ask one of you to say briefly maybe what was the inspiration for this original performance idea between mother and daughter? How did you get started?
Rebecca.
Okay. Long ago. I think Rachel would say it sort of started when I was beginning storytelling, and Rachel was a young toddler that would come along and got to the point that she was telling my stories on top of me, right? She knew them all and could tell them as I'm telling them to groups, right? I think that was the beginning, right, Rachel? And then just it grew from there of the interesting conversations we would get into throughout the years. And we have a lot of different perspectives, and we come from kind of different backgrounds, you know. So it was interesting to start being able to look at that and learn from each other.
Yeah.
Rach, is that a good capsule for you?
Yeah. I'd say at first it was definitely an experiment. We weren't going to it, like I said, as experts on something, but rather we're giving we're giving our honest perspectives and very different perspectives about a lot of things, and sort of sharing that with people who would be interested in it. And I think that's not something that you're privileged to or privy to in the everyday. You see a lot of entertainment, and you have maybe some very honest conversations with people you already know. But I think it's really unusual to be able to see someone else's honest conversation. And so that was sort of...
Not have it be a tabloid, sort of exhibitionary kind of thing, that it's just, it's real. And it's not fireworks for people's entertainment. It's based on a real relationship.
One of the interesting parts that came out as we presented, we allowed the audience to send up questions. Either, they could ask them themselves, or we had cards that they could send up questions for either one or both of us to respond to. So we had audience participation. And now at the conference this year, we're hoping we're going to model it and then have people pair up and do this exercise themselves with someone.
Very
and
nice.
Then have them stand up and model that, a pair that's willing to stand up in front of the group then and do the same thing in front of everyone.
Oh, okay. So model it, and then people will experience it. Okay, so what would you, either one of you say, do you think what's the takeaway? So let's say you've got an ideal participant comes in. What would you like that person, one thing you'd like them to take away? Because they'll probably take away many things, but what's the first one that comes to mind?
I'd say an insight, an insight into how they see the world, as opposed to just simply how someone else sees it. So what's really cool, what comes out of this, out of the conversations, the reactions, the feedback we get is, oh, I never thought of it that way. And I think that's a really special moment for anybody. And it's not something you can force either. So I'd like each person to have at least one of those moments. I would consider that a huge success.
Wonderful, wonderful, interesting. So Rebecca, how about you? What do you think? What do you think is your ideal takeaway as a presenter? So, what do you want to go home with? What's that thing you want to take home with you, the presenter?
Other than my daughter.
That's a given, but I was thinking that was a given, but maybe not. So
yeah, it is. I would like to go home just with the sense that people feel that there is a good purpose to have very deep dialogue, not just with like-minded individuals, that there is a way to have conversation without confrontation and be able to hear that other side and maybe expand points of view. Then I'd feel content.
All right, very nice. Well, thank you. It sounds really fascinating. Let me open it up for a question or a comment from anybody for either Rachel or Rebecca.
Hi, Marguerite here. I have a question of either mom or daughter. When you have people come up and mirror that same format that you present, do the people in the audience come up with the same ideas, or they come up with their own ideas about what they want to talk about with the other person?
Yeah, we're going to offer them some prompts.
Okay.
And I think, depending on how it goes, but at least a few main prompts that everybody will work on. And then the idea is that after that, you can see all the different perspectives around this one sort of common knowledge question.
Okay. Sounds interesting. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Marguerite. Comment from anybody about what you think the experience would like? I mean, is this something that would be interesting to you, risky, enticing?
I love it. This is Katey. Because there's oftentimes in life, you know, where you get into those sticky situations with people that you're working with a diverse backgrounds or come froms, or I don't always get to practice being in that hot seat of like wanting to really be able to listen and reflect back what I hear versus kind of trying to either fix something or you know, make it nice. So I love the fact that, you know, there's an opportunity to be able to play with that with the intention of actually really deeply listening, even when it gets uncomfortable. It's a beautiful thing.
Thanks.
Thanks, Katey.
And anybody else with a comment or a question?
Well, I have a question too.
Sure.
Again, which is like what I heard in your introduction was that there's a big difference between you two, mom and daughter, which I understand is age-wise, but it sort of seemed like there was a lot more that you were alluding to, and I'm just curious if you give a snippet about what that is.
Do you want to go first, Rach?
Well, I think upbringing is kind of an interesting one. I don't know if it really counts because I was brought up by this lady, but she was probably in a different environment. But I think time and environment has contributed a lot to that. And we have, for example, I wasn't raised religiously, but my mom was. And I think that's was a much different environment. Or she was raised in a small rural farming community. And I was born in Alaska, lived in 3 different states, moved to Los Angeles. And, you know, I don't have roots, really. Mom, do you have some other examples?
Yeah, I think those are pretty major. You're urban, cosmopolitan, European. I'm kind of a backwoods sort of person that, you know, enjoys sagebrush and pine trees. And you do too, but how we live is different. And then, I mean, obviously, even though you've been with me, Rachel, as you say, ever since I was born, I've been carrying your little part around, you know, I think just for outside looking in, when people look at us, there's always a question. Racially, you know, is she your daughter? There's always that kind of thing. We have a different viewpoint about race and racial issues and dealing with them, you know, partly because of our ages, partly because of our backgrounds, partly because of our ethnicities. So I think that's very interesting. Sense of humor, you know, all sorts of things.
We have a very different way of dealing with most things, I'd say.
And yet we can talk to each other. It's great.
You can do this project together. It's pretty amazing. So that you're even motivated to do this project together. It's very cool. So
can I add one more thing?
Sure.
Kelly? We spent 29 days traveling from Washington State all the way to Wisconsin and then jaying back to Kansas City. We spent 29 days in an RV together, doing about 1,800 miles. So, and we're still friends when we finished up.
Going for round 2.
So we can count on you guys still being friends after the performance is over too. So
yeah.
Really nice. I'm definitely intrigued. So it sounds like others are as well. Thank you so much. I'm wondering, Katey or Doug, either one of you particularly want to go next? How about you, Katey?
I'm happy to.
Good.
So what I'm going to be presenting is called Connect to the Earth and Dance Your Heart, Body, and Soul Awake. And it's basically a form of ecstatic dance that I've been practicing for about 20 years. And it's something that I have found to be super healing for me personally. And so therefore I want to share it with other people. I've been a body worker for about 30 years and I've danced forever since I was a kid. And this particular form has offered a way of being able to really, I guess, become more embodied and be more inhabited in my body. And as a body worker, I really have, come to understand that all of our stories and all of our experiences and everything that's ever happened to us lives in ourselves. And that if we don't have a chance to process or integrate those things, then they become stuck or obstructed, or places of tension, or places where we sort of store material. And movement is like one of the quickest ways to get to that material. And so I really love the fact that being able to just turn on some music and start to move, and particularly with this particular way of movement, which is based on a wave of music that leads you through different rhythms that brings up different things for different people. And my experience is that most people have some deep insights about themselves and what gets stored in their bodies by going through this dance wave.
So this sounds really fascinating. I have a couple questions right off the bat. What's the format of the workshop beyond? So it sounds like there's a warm up, and then there's this going into this embodiment dance. And is there a processing component afterwards, after the dance, or is it strictly going to be the dance?
There is a small component. I generally think that the dance itself, the experience itself, often is so powerful that to go back up into your head and start analyzing it and trying to put words to it and explain it can sometimes remove someone from their own lived experience of the moment. So what I'll often do is I'll often ask people, at the end, to just take some time to be with themselves, to sort of review their own journey that has just happened in their body, mind, and spirit, and then to share, if it feels right to them, the gold. So it's really like being able to not get into stories that take you away from being present with what is, but to really be able to sort of take the essence of what what arose for you and put that into the center. And oftentimes when people are able to do that, it creates a container that really allows for there to be this amazing sort of integration, both individually and as a group.
Okay, quick question. When is your workshop?
I don't know.
Okay, that's all right. That's okay. I forgot to ask also Rachel and Rebecca, but we can come back to that later. So is it your experience, Katey, that in terms of, you said people tend to have these fairly profound experiences in their body, and that they have insights, and I'm just curious about that process of how the insights emerge. Is it sort of just part of lived life afterwards, as you're going through the days or weeks after the dance? Maybe there's this sense of the insights emerge as part of your day, and you realize something?
My experience with people is it usually emerges on the dance floor.
Oh,
and
okay. right. Okay.
That the rhythms are like, there's a flowing rhythm, and some people are really comfortable, they're flowy people, and so that's their comfort zone, and that moves into a staccato rhythm, which is a little bit more, I know where I'm going, I know what I want to do, move over, get out of the way. And some people are really comfortable in that energy. and some people are really uncomfortable in that energy. And so when you actually allow yourself to drop down into each of these different rhythms, the next rhythm is chaos. Some people love chaos. Some people hate chaos. And so it's like inviting yourself to stay present with these different rhythms,
Right.
surfaces material that, why do you hate chaos? You know, well, I don't like being out of control. And so people get to feel that in their bodies and just keep moving, keep breathing, keep, you know, letting themselves have whatever surfaces and keep moving through it. And like, it's not unusual for people to have, you know, sort of some big ahas about like, oh, wow, you know, like I really feel pretty uncomfortable when I'm not in control, or, you know, or even the next rhythm is lyrical. And that's a very lighthearted sort of listening within, but allowing yourself to connect to other people. And sometimes that's, you know, somebody's most comfortable place or least comfortable place. And the last rhythm is stillness. And, you know, there's people who are just really comfortable being still. And then there's other people who kind of freak out when everything gets still, right? I mean, probably each one of us has a tendency that you're somewhat familiar with, even when I talk. But then when we actually put music on and start like moving into each of those rhythms, most people have a home rhythm, and most people have a rhythm that they would really rather not, they'd rather walk out the door than stay present with what surfaces in that rhythm. So my experience is most of the time people get some awareness about themselves on the floor, and that you know, sort of curiosity gives some insight about some life experience.
Awesome. It's really fascinating. It sounds very. I'm going to open it up for questions or comments for Katey about the ecstatic dance workshop.
Yeah, hi. Hello. Yeah, this is Joe.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make a comment. I work at a New York Office of Mental Health facility, and we hired a dance therapist about a year ago. So I've kind of seen firsthand what dance and movement can really do to, you know, just affect the person. It's really made like tremendous difference in some of the individuals we work with. So I just wanted to say it sounds really interesting to learn, you know, more about how that all works.
So let me put you on the spot, Joe. I'm curious. Does that mean that you would dip your toe into Katey's workshop if you had the opportunity?
Yeah. It sounds like something I would give a try.
Excellent. I'm dying to go. I hope it's at a time when I can attend.
Right.
And okay, so great. Thank you so much, Joe. And who else would like to ask Katey a question or give her a comment?
Marguerite here. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I hope I get a chance to go to your workshop. I know there was an some dance thing in Omega many years ago. I was going by for something else, and I was going by this woman and these people in this room just dancing around and having a heck of a good time, and just having this experience I want to be part of. And I think this is something that's going to be really beneficial to a lot of people. I thank you for offering it.
Thank you. Yeah, sure.
Question.
Question from Rachel.
Hi, Rachel here. It's called ecstatic dance.
There's lots of different names for, like, what I call it is dance your heart, body, and soul awake. That's what I call it, but it's based on an ecstatic dance practice.
And why is it called that?
Because when we're, like, life experiences tend to constrict us, right? So you kind of like you pull in, tighten up, and kind of tend to shut down when you don't have a chance to release stuff. And I think everybody has the experience of like letting it all hang loose, really experiencing complete permission in the body. And there's an experience of bliss that often comes with that. And so that's where the ecstatic experience can happen. It's not a guarantee. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was looking for the static dance workshop next time.
Okay.
Now I get it. It's a little euphoric.
Thank you so much, Katey. Doug, we're going to go to you, and then we'll have me, and we're moving right along. Would you tell us about your workshop, Doug?
Sure. My workshop is called The Values of the Future Through Storytelling. And it began, I was actually at a workshop where we were trying to think about a future society, like after our existing economic system, like what could be next? And the workshop leader was saying, as members of the society, it's really difficult for us to think beyond it. We've been sort of coerced and bribed into accepting this society as the best ever and permanent and eternal. So it gets hard to think beyond it. And I was astonished to find out that he was right. He gave us 5 minutes with a partner, so just think about your ideas about a future society beyond this one, and like, I spent 5 minutes doing that. But he gave us another chance, and in the second 5 minutes, I suddenly got an image. And the image was of a sort of a city, like hovering over the horizon, lots of lights and movement, but it was shrouded in clouds. And then the time was over. I described it to my partner, but I didn't get to do anything. Then we had a third one. So I started with the city and the clouds. And as I described it to my partner, the image got bigger, and suddenly there was also a roadway, like leading from me up away from the city, getting higher and higher off the ground until finally on the horizon, it joined with the city. And as I described that to him, I suddenly understood. I said, oh, I get it. I don't know what this society of the future is going to look like. But I do know some values that will be important in getting there. And as soon as I said that, I had another insight, which is, I know how to teach a lot of those values through storytelling.
Mm.
And so, stories are so powerful. You can teach any value, positive, negative. You can teach anything from love and hope through stories to the story of the Third Reich through stories. So storytelling is neutral in terms of the content of the story. But it turns out that the process of telling stories, we're imagining, listening, empathizing with each other, that process actually is not value neutral. And so in this workshop, I teach people the basics of storytelling as I understand them in a way that allows people to notice a series of 8 values, how each of those is embedded somewhere in that process.
Wonderful. And so
those are values that for me will be important in making sure that our next society is even more beneficial to humans as a whole than this one. Go ahead, Kelly, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So can I just ask you, what's the format like, Doug? Is it going to be mostly presentation? I went to one of your wonderful workshops a couple of years ago, really got so much from it. What is the format of it? Is it going to be mostly presentation? Is there going to be some writing? Is there going to be discussion?
The most of it will be experiencing these steps of what I call growing a story.
Ah, okay.
We're taught in school to think that stories, poems, everything else is like words on a page. But the words on the page are to the real story as a recipe is to a real meal. And words don't nourish you. It's what happens in your mind when you experience the words that nourishes you. And the recipe, once you turn the recipe into food, that's where the nourishment comes. So it's largely, I don't know, in minutes, it's probably about you know, 2/3 experiential and 1/3 explanation, but it's a constant alternation between them. And okay, now we just experienced that. What was that like? Now here's another thought. Try this technique. So it's a real solid alternation between me putting out an idea, me putting out an activity, people doing the activity, responding to the activity, and then me asking questions, and then starting over.
It sounds jam-packed and wonderful. I would love to hear any questions, any comments for Doug. Does this workshop intrigue you, mystify you, excite you? What do you think?
It's Joe here again. I just wanted to say that I attended one of your workshops. I think it was maybe 3 years ago now. The last one in Pendle Hill that you did, Doug.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I just wanted to recommend you to anybody who hasn't been to your workshops before. I still remember it pretty vividly to this day, and it was really very interesting stuff. So yeah.
Great, thank you, Joe. Any questions? Yes, Rachel.
I have a question. The values, I'm pretty curious about your 8 values. Are they things that you think will get us to a better society, or are they, like you said, of the content of the story, the recipe? Are the values neutral as well?
No, the values are not neutral. And so I divide them into 2 groups of 4. And one is the importance of connection. And there's pieces of that, and one of them is just the value of listening, right? Another is what I call a predilection for compassion. We're sort of taught in our society to have a predilection for evaluation. And how are things different if your predilection is toward compassion instead? And these are all values that I believe the process of storytelling, apart from any individual story, the process promotes these and gives you the experience of these. And so just by telling a story, just by listening to someone's story, you begin to empathize with them. You're listening to them, you're noticing their different point of view, you're using different parts of your brain, different modes of thinking. So all of these things help. On the one hand, the 4 values that are emphasizing connection, the importance of connection, and on the other hand, what I call our wonderful minds, and not just thinking that one part of our mind is a whole mind, which our society is so big on conceptual thinking that it avoids image thinking, and the what I call the rapid nonlinear forms of thinking, and storytelling is a perfect place to integrate them. Just the process integrates those things.
I hear a good amount of overlap too, complementarity between your 2 workshops, Rachel and Rebecca and Doug. It would be kind of interesting to see those next to each other, to experience those 2 workshops next to each other. I happen to notice Doug did send a graphic that was posted on Facebook of his 8 values. So we don't have time. I'm not going to share it with you right now, but I encourage you to go back to Facebook to the TLA page if you want to take a look at his graphic about his values. And that'll give you a little bit more about it. But it sounds really fascinating. And I'm afraid, I think you and I might be presenting opposite each other or some crazy thing, but we'll see. I'm pretty
that's
sure.
That's the question that I had the answer to, which is, mine is Saturday at 1:15.
Well, mine is Saturday afternoon too. I'm going to pretend that we're not at the same time right now, just so that I can fantasize about being in both places. Thank you so much, Doug. I'm going to jump into mine right now as well, because I want to move us into the next phase. And I'll be a little bit brief. It's been so wonderful to hear from everybody. This is my 3rd year presenting at POW. I've presented something different each time. But this workshop I'm going to do this year, Writing Truth and Beauty, using your photos for creative inspiration and healing, is a workshop that I facilitate a lot. And I really love to facilitate writing workshops. It is a writing workshop where you're strongly encouraged to bring a personal photo to write from. And that might be on your iPad or on your cell phone. One of the things that I work with people on is saying, go to your photo stream. Your photo stream is this tremendous source of inspiration for your writing, because we're taking more photos than ever before, and we're saving them and we're sending them. And what we're capturing are the things that bring the most meaning and sense of pleasure and what makes our life worthwhile. That's what we care about. What we care about is in our photos. So I have a method that involves a process of asking yourself questions from your photograph. It sort of walks you through this getting into the three-dimensional world of the photograph. I'm also a playwright, so I'm very interested in the idea of the photo as almost a theatrical stage picture, that if you can step into it with your imagination and with your tools, with your questions, and almost reverse roles with the contents of this picture, that you find all these interesting, fascinating ways to unpack the photo as your values, your relationships, your conflicts, your dreams, your goals, your fantasies, your family history, your culture, a moment in time. So it doesn't matter what kind of a photograph it is, whether it involves people or places or things. This is the source. And so whether or not you've ever written poetry or poetically, you can write stories from your photos. But I really believe that this organic nature of writing from your own photos is really what activates your truth-telling and your ability to find and express meaning and beauty from your life. And so you're going to walk away with some writing. Now, you're going to walk away from my workshop with your raw material. You may or may not have a chance to begin to shape it into something, but you're going to have the, what I call the source that usually through my writing process, it takes you to what I call the secret reveal, that thing you know that you didn't know you knew that is important for you to express. And so you're going to express these unexpressed emotions and insights and awarenesses. And then I'm going to talk with you about how to apply craft to this writing process so that you're shaping it into something that you'll really value and also may also really communicate universal meaning and meaning to other people. So in a nutshell, that is my workshop, Writing Truth and Beauty. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Marguerite.
That's really cool. Sorry, Margaret.
It's okay. So you bring, the person brings in a photo and you offer things to ask of the photo, questions?
I have approximately 13 questions.
Okay.
That are not yes or no questions, but that are really exploration that take you into the world of the photograph.
Okay. Okay.
And help you express it in the here and now, really spontaneously, without much thought, and you're just sort of generating your raw material that then will give you some tools for how to go in and excavate it and shape writing, pieces of writing from it.
I like that idea. Sounds very intriguing. Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
Can't wait.
Good. I hope to see some of you there. This has been really phenomenal, and I want to move into the poetry open mic, the story open mic, and give those of us who have brought a piece to share a chance to read. This is kind of switching gears. You guys have really been fabulous, really fabulous presentations about, I'm just so excited about Power of Words right now and about each one of your workshops. So let's just shift into that phase of this call, this experience where we're going to take a piece of writing and Share it with each other. We're not going to be critiquing. We're just listening. And we don't even have to comment on each other's writing. And you may want to, but it's really just a chance to hear something that was written that one of us might like to share. And I know that we have Susan brought something, and Katey and Doug and Kelly, and possibly some other people who haven't mentioned it yet. I think, Rebecca, you might have been looking for something. So
Yes.
we're just each going to keep our sharing brief, and whoever would like to go first, who would like to go first?
This is Rebecca, and I found a piece that I'd like to read, so
Wonderful.
if I may. Okay.
You're on.
This is called The Measure of Time. I want to live in a place where life is measured by the world that surrounds me, where distances are measured in days of walking, where time is measured by the evening flight of crows, or by the turning of the moon, or snowfalls in winter, where years are measured in rings on fallen trees, where hours are measured by daylight and sleep not measured at all. To exist in a cyclical rhythm rather than in miles per hour. How much further can we segment time? From eons to eras to millennia to century to decade, year, month, week, day, hour, minute, second, nano, and where is the measure of a lifetime in that? There you go.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, who else would like to share?
I have two very short poems. This is Katey. The one is called On the Edge. The edge I walk along is so sharp, I cut my feet feeling for it in the dark. And the second one is called Flee Not. Torn open by love, I cut myself on the edges of my fear. A warm, clear glow from within, mango-colored and soft as baby powder, melts resistance, opens doors long closed, and shines light in places that have been shrouded. Sweet life, breath of life, stay with me. Flee not from the jagged edges of my closing dam.
Thank you. Thank you, Katey. Lovely. Susan, would you like to go?
I have a visual poem that I wrote, and it really is. It's in the shape of a train. It's called Boxcar Leaving. It's Carolina Southern. Carolina Southern is an afternoon cardinal. She flies as the crow flies, crossing country roads, chugging and rattling Georgetown boxcars of crushed stone. A blush pink engine streaming by with two smoky white stripes. She's not what she used to be in autumn cornucopias of scarlet leaves, honey fields, and hot orange holly berries. Her wheels shine like silver spoons, though, skidding away on Johnny cake plates of steel. She chases dusty plains to pinewood destinations with an overland refrain, a song, a prayer, and soulful incantations. Her rails fold in proud rows, they fan and fade on the hide and seek horizon. She's a welcome friend to vagabond barns, roadside stores, harvested farms, fields of cotton, rolls of hay, chickens and crows, wagons, good Joe, scarecrows, and daffodil yellow butterflies. John Deeres in yellow caps and green dungarees sell outdoor merchandise from furniture to Ford Thunderbirds. There's warm southern breath on melancholy swamps and Civil War history, cracked twigs, hands raised, and broken trees. The sky is Carolina blue silk with flower white crosses on tall steeple stems pointing the way to heaven. Telephone poles pass by with the rhythm of new and old, reminding of roads to home, reminding of roads to Rome. A country tune hums through wraparound porches and sauntering swings. There's hospitality and sweet tea and lemon slices and pumpkin faces for Halloween and Thanksgiving. Wind chimes tingle with ghost sheets still hanging. Southern air is coursing with hush puppies and butterbeans. Hound gray wood stacks chase and bark like buddies in the park. That's it.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, who else? Yoli, do you have anything? Or Joe?
No, not today.
Okay. Or Emily? Okay. I'm going to go next, and I'm going to let Doug take us out with his story. How about that, Doug?
Okay.
Good. My father had Alzheimer's. He died this past February. I wrote a collection of poems. This one's called How He Asks. Where did you come from? By this I mean, what fills your days, and how did you lose me? I mean, when did I leave you, and how did you find me somewhere? Let's go back to the beginning. How did you get here? By this I mean, tell me how I brought you into this world and what you're doing with the life you've been given. Are you doing the wonderful I knew you could do? There's something you forgot. By this I mean, tell me the news of all the everyone we have back where, who matters so much, and when can I see them and tell them how whistling and crackling and sunny they are? Are you leaving? Let's go back to the beginning. Where did you come from? Did you come in a car? Do you know the way home? Take me home now so you will see how we got here from there. And by that, I mean, do you know how much your life matters? You're up, Doug. You're going to take us out.
Okay. Well, this is a true story about a poet. In the 1950s, Jacques Prévert was walking down a street in Paris, and he saw a man sitting on a blanket on the sidewalk. In front of him was a hat with a few coins in it, just a few, and next to him, propped up, was a cardboard sign with the words, "Blind, no pension, please give." And Prévert went up to the poet and said, up to the beggar, and said, so how's it going, my friend? Oh, people are so stingy. They don't stop to read my sign. They hardly cover the bottom of my hat in a day. I think I could help you. Would you let me change your sign? Change my sign? Right on the back. That way, if it doesn't help, I can turn it back over. And so the beggar heard the scratching of the poet's pen on the cardboard sign. A week later, Prévert was back in that part of Paris, so he went out of his way to walk down the same street. There was the beggar. He went up to him. He said, "How's it going now, my friend?" "Oh, you! People have become so much more generous. I hear them standing, reading my sign, and they fill my hat 3 times in a day." I'm so glad. Well, may your good fortune continue. Wait, what did you write? I wrote something very simple. I wrote, "Spring is coming, and I will not see it."
Well, okay. Wow, it's been quite a night. A final word, three at the most, from everybody on the call who'd like to share and just say goodbye. What's your takeaway tonight, or what did you appreciate?
Connecting.
Huh?
I say connecting. That's Katey.
Yes, hi, Katey. Thank you. And for me, Marguerite, it was a sharing and learning, and how exciting it'll be to meet you in person, all of you.
For Rachel, ideas. Thanks for your ideas.
For me, Doug, it was sort of like what Rachel and Rebecca talked about, all these different points of view into the wonders of the universe.
For me, Susan, it was great just to hear your voices and see what you share and how you do and what you have. And it's interesting to me because I love it all, really.
For me,
And for me, it was excitement. So that's Rebecca. Just excited to come again and share with all these people. Wonderful, exhilarating stuff.
Joe?
And for me, Joe, yeah, it just made me even more excited about the conference in August. So looking forward to seeing everybody and trying out some of the workshops that we heard about today.
Well, this is Kelly here. I just can't thank each of you enough for being here in this magical space tonight, for sharing about your workshop, for offering such an amazing workshop, and then for taking a risk, sharing your personal writing and storytelling. I just feel like a big nourishing meal. And I just can't wait to meet you all, see you all again in person.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right.
Yep. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Everybody, if you get a chance, go on the Facebook page and just mention how you felt about being here tonight, and let's keep the conversation going and let other people know that that these calls are so wonderful and that the workshops and the Power of Words is going to be wonderful too. Thank you.
All right.
See you soon.
All right.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Right.